That completes the material for Module 7. This video contains a summary. So we talked about control flow, which is the order that statements get executed in a program. In Python, statements get executed starting from the top and then successively each line thereafter. You can change the control flow, the order of statements that get executed, with conditional statements or looping. Conditional statements is where we execute one branch of code using an if, elif, or else block. We're going to learn about looping, where we execute repeated blocks of code later on. So an if statement minimum has just one part, which is just the if part. Elif and else are optional. So the way it works is that you start with if, you then have a condition that evaluates as true, and you must end the line with a colon. That signifies that a code block is coming up. So a code block is indented and represents the code that will get run if this condition is true. So in this case, I just said branch 1. It could be any number of lines. It has to be at least one line. If you do have an elif statement, it must follow if, but come before else. Another condition must be checked and another colon. And if that is true, then in this case, this branch will get run. Else is optional, and this will run if all of the other ones fail, if they all evaluate as false. So in this case, all of these branch 3 lines will get run. So again, else is optional and must come last. With these if, elif, else block, only one of the branches will get run. You can never have a possibility of multiple branches run. All right, so that takes care of this. To get back to normal control flow, you must return the indentation back to where it was. So that's usually at the beginning of the line, but it could be back to where just wherever the code block, the original code block began. If you're nested, it'll move back to there. We talked about nesting conditions. So that's where you have an if statement within an if statement, and it'll have its own indentation and own code blocks. So you can do nesting. Just be careful not to use too many nested statements, as it can get confusing to read. We talked about the ternary operator, which is just shorter syntax for an if-else statement. It's got to be a very simple if-else statement where the branch is a single line. So the syntax looks like this: branch 1, if condition, else branch 2. So here is a simple one. We'll return the string odd if x modulus 2 equals 1. That just to test whether it's odd. Otherwise, we'll return the string even. We then went on to look at some other conditions. We've done this before, but just as a review, you can put them in an if statement. So here we have 34. Is it in this particular list right here? The is operator checks whether two objects are the same. That means whether we assign them one to another, like this. In this case, this would evaluate as true. We then looked at implied truth values. Integers that are 0 are false. Any other integer will be evaluated as true. This is actually for the in operator up there. That should be up there. But let's just go ahead and change this. So like if 5, for instance, then we'll rent branch 1. So you can put strings, lists, integers, floats, and none in here, and they will all get evaluated correctly. They all have an implied truth value. Okay, so that does it for the summary of Module 7.